This is a funny story, but when I first started working with Alex, I submitted an offer on a home that was listed at 675,000, and I submitted an offer for 775,000. I did it because I was like, Alex, I'm not even sure how this shit works. I was like, I don't know how does escrow work? Can I get out of this? And he was like, Will, you can get out of it. And I was like, I don't believe you until I see it. And so I put in that offer, and then I called the guy and was like, hey, psych, like that offer isn't actually in. I'm going to go ahead and cancel my offer based on my inspection. And the guy was like, okay, cool. And that was the biggest eye-opening experience for me. I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. So what's up, everybody? This week, we're going to be talking about best advice that I would pass down to a newbie real estate investor, which is obviously a really cool topic because we're going to get to learn some, really important, informational pieces that'll help us kind of grow our businesses on our own. So for those of you that don't know, Alex and I are out here in Las Vegas. Well, Alex is actually in a plane right now. He almost missed his flight from Cozumel, but we're out here for a mastermind in Las Vegas. We're going to be learning from Ryan Pineda and a couple of the other all-stars that are part of the program over the next couple of weeks. So that's a really fun, exciting thing for us, something that we get to do every quarter out here in Las Vegas. But this week, as I mentioned, guys, go ahead and use the chat feature down there below. We're going to go ahead and let everybody know where it is, where we're from. I feel like I already have a sunburn out here. I've been in Vegas for just a couple of hours, and man, it is freaking hot out here, guys. So I think it's 117 degrees outside right now, and we are definitely boiling up, but we'll have a hot conversation today as well. And as I mentioned, if everybody gets a chance, go ahead and use the tool right over there on the bottom and go ahead and chat in and let us know where you're tuning in from and what market you're in and where we can find you and reach you on social media. As you guys know, I'm out here in Los Angeles. Alex and I are working on a couple of deals out here in LA. And once Alex gets back from his Mexico trip, he'll be spending about a week and a half out here in Los Angeles. And we're going to try and do another meetup or two out here in LA during that time. So we're going to try and do a meetup at a house where we actually get to do a little bit more, deep dive, talk about some numbers, talk about some actual details of the property, really kind of more of a deep dive into that property and the numbers on it and what worked and what didn't, to give you guys a kind of a background on that. And then I think we're probably going to also do some form of a hike. We did a hike a couple weeks back, and I think we're probably going to do another hike. It was a lot of fun getting to go out and kind of connect with other investors and get to learn what other people are doing. So I think it'll be 2 meetups, guys, that we're going to be doing here in Los Angeles over the next couple of weeks. 2 meetups. One will be a hike and one will be a house meetup. So keep in tune for those, and we'll definitely announce those on the Facebook group. In the meantime, though, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and kick things off today. We are talking about tips and advice that you would want to pass back down to a newbie investor. And what we thought we would do today is bring on a couple newer investors. I'm not going to call them newbies, but some newer investors. And we're going to have them kind of give us a little bit of, advice and feedback and maybe some things that they would want to share with another younger rookie investor that is still trying to kind of figure some things out on their end. So what we're going to do first is we're going to bring on a special guest. Before we do that, guys, I do want to give you an opportunity. Please, if you get a chance, go ahead and head on over to our Facebook group. And on the Facebook group, please log in and share a win. If I can get 5 people this week to share a win, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and post a copy of my notes from the Ryan Pineda Mastermind that we're out here this week. I will post a copy of those notes into the Facebook group. So you guys will get a copy of my notes from this mastermind that we're attending if we can get 5 people to share a small win. And the reason why that's important for us, guys, is, again, a lot of times real estate investing can seem like it's really difficult and it's really a struggle to get involved in. But what you're going to hear from our first guest here is that it's really anything but. So what we're going to do is we're going to welcome on Derek. Derek's a good friend of Alex and I's, and a constant collaborator. We're constantly calling Derek, and Derek's constantly calling us, and just checking in and seeing, hey, what systems are working for you guys? What systems are you changing? And just a really smart dude, and so really excited to welcome Derek onto the podcast with us here. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. How's it going?
Going well, man. And again, appreciate you spending some time jumping on here on the webinar with us to kind of go over some of this rookie insight, right? And kind of give we were talking about this, right? Throwing down the rope or putting back the ladder so that next person that's trying to get up to your level has a little bit easier way of doing it. So Derek, real quick, why don't you give everybody on the webinar a kind of 5-minute rundown? What's your story? What have you kind of overcome, and where are you at now?
So I work in property as a maintenance guy for a property management company for 12, 13 years. Really got sick of working 9 to 5. Dove into real estate really deep about 2 years ago now. Got involved in listening to the podcast, like Everyone Bigger Pockets, started networking, met Alex over Instagram, started networking with him. Him and I actually did a deal in Utah about a year ago. Wasn't a huge deal, but it was a deal. And then I joined a mastermind group, really started building my network, started building those around me. Recently was able to quit my job and focus on real estate full time. Yeah. We do wholesaling, we do flipping. I don't have any buy and holds yet, other than my primary resident that we house hack. But we did lock up 13 doors in Iowa this past week. So we'll be hopefully closing on those here in the next month. And that'll be our first, sorry guys. That'll be our first buy and holds. Hold on just one sec, sorry.
And guys, that's why we wanted to bring Derek on here is you can hear already from him 2 years, and he's already purchasing 13 doors in Iowa, right? And that doesn't happen overnight. It happens, because of consistent action, taking those steps. And Derek, I already see people chatting in, myself included, I cannot wait to quit the 9 to 5 and dive full into real estate, right? So continue on your story a little bit. You said you're acquiring 13 properties out in Iowa, and what's up next, and where did that kind of come about?
So we decided we wanted to be more in the Midwest, just because we're in the Utah and Washington market. It's a hot market like LA, Hawaii. It's really hard to find properties that cash flow. And we're making pretty decent money off of wholesaling and things like that, but we figured it might be better put to use working for us in the Midwest, where we can still cash flow. Actually teamed up with someone I met off of TikTok out in Iowa, flew out there, stayed a week, and was able to just connect with him, meet his realtor, everything he's got going on. And we decided that he was getting he owns 32 doors right now, and his goal was to have 30 by 30, and he blew that out of the water. He's not 30 yet. So spent a week out there learning the market, meeting with real estate agents, meeting with other investors, meeting with contractors, meeting with just building a team out there. So when we invest out there, we feel pretty confident that we can win. So.
And I love how you broke that down, right? It's not like you're doing Iowa on your own. Had you ever been to Iowa before that week?
Nope.
So you have a grand total of 1 week time in Iowa, and you're now owning 13 units out there.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's 2 years to the day, after kind of saying, hey man, I'm going to give this real estate a go, right?
Yep.
A lot of that, I think, really kind of has to fall down on a couple key factors, right? There's got to be something that you kind of keep falling back to. I know one of them has to be your why.
Yep. My family. I want to spend more time at home. And
So that 9 to 5 job, was that allowing you to get home and spend time with family?
no, the hard part about that was, I would focus on the job 9 to 5, and then I'd come home and work 5 to 1 a.m. You
Getting
know,
ready to fix the stuff on the job tomorrow.
well, no, I would focus on real estate every
Okay.
day after work, but there was absolutely no time for family. I mean, it was work to pay the bills and then work to get away from work.
To pay the bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And again, I think having that strong why is really what kind of kept your focus, right? Is like, look, I'm not doing this for right now. I'm not doing this. This is for my family. I want to be able to spend more time with my family, and going to job, 9 to 5 just doesn't equate to spending time with the
Absolutely.
family. No matter how you cut it, right? You can't shape it any other way.
Yep.
So obviously 13 doors for some people is a big number, right? You said, your buddy out there in Iowa had a 30 by 30 goal. 13 doors for a newbie real estate investor can seem really intimidating. Sometimes just making that first door happen or getting that first deal under contract can be, just such a big analysis paralysis, just a lot of things kind of going into it, right?
Hmm.
What was it that allowed you to kind of say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm shifting from this 9 to 5. What did that kind of look like for you?
I think it came down to networking and consistency. Just staying consistent. It was really hard to come home from work and work another full-time gig
Mm-hmm.
focused on real estate. But it was also working that much that drove me to really. I always joked my 9 to 5 was getting in the way of my career every day. Every day I'd go to work and it was taking time that I should be focusing on building something bigger for my family and me. So I think it was just the long drawn out days of just hating going to work every single day. I hated getting up and going to work. I loved my job, but I hated going to work. So it was just huge for me. My kids actually recently moved out here with me in Washington. And that was a big turning point for me. I says, you know what? I've got the kids here. Their whole lives I've been working really hard, never had time for them being in the property management maintenance world. Um, so it was time to pull that band-aid off and figure it out.
Said two things: consistency and networking. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, right? This is in 2 years you've been able to do what you've done. And, you know, networking was a big part of that, right?
It was
So
huge. Yeah.
listening to Bigger Pockets allowed you to kind of, learn about Alex, right? And get on Alex's radar and interact with Alex through Instagram.
Yep.
What are some of the other things that you think have been really important to you for networking? And I know you touched on it with Iowa, and we kind of talked about building out a team, right? Like that's your network in Iowa. But how did you know that that's what you needed in Iowa to do business in Iowa?
Just, Bill, I looked at different markets and knew I wanted to be in the Midwest. And then when I reached out to my partner out there, I had actually spoke to quite a few people along the way. And when I spoke to him, we had a really good synergy. I knew that I needed to be in a market that cash flowed. I knew I needed to be able to trust whoever I was, getting in a partnership with. And, we just clicked. We talked on the phone about real estate almost every day. And then we flew out there, and I knew that he was the missing piece to me getting my cash flow, you know, and here we are. We put 13.
Like you said, that the cash flow just doesn't work as well in Utah, doesn't work out there. You're not able to find those properties. So here comes a team member that you're able to add to the team, kind of find some alignment and over some phone calls, able to really kind of realize like, hey, this is the guy that's going to develop my network out in Iowa and help me get that cash flow that's been elusive up until now.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, for a lot of people, that first step is the toughest. And it can start by just calling a realtor, calling another investor, going on Bigger Pockets, finding out somebody that is also looking to grow a team or develop a team or help investors that are in an area. How did you find that person in Iowa?
It was TikTok.
You said TikTok, right? So
Which
this guy's
is,
out there just putting out TikToks in Iowa, walking up to distressed homes in Iowa, and you're like, this is my guy?
It's super embarrassing to say I met him on TikTok, but yeah, he was putting out great content. He was excited about what he was doing. And he'd actually posted a video about a 1031 exchange off an assignment. And I had never heard of that. So I reached out to him I reached out to him on Instagram and said, how are you working this? And he says, I don't know if I can, but he was just talking about it. So I was like, I don't think he can. And then he found out he couldn't, but that's where we connected. I mean, it was just watching his content, seeing what he was doing, knowing he was doing some pretty big things out there. And he didn't have every door he's picked up has been through pocket listings. And so when I had value to add to him, I says, let's turn my marketing on that I'm doing in these other two markets. Let's turn my marketing on in Iowa and just see what happens. Let's see what we can do. And so we turned that on a couple of weeks before I flew out there. And by the time I flew out there, we had several appointments to go on and meet with potential sellers.
Incredible stuff. And that kind of leads directly into the next point, right? So you said networking and consistency.
Yep, consistency.
And we've talked about this, Derek, like you never want to be known as the guy that's spending $100,000 on marketing one month and falling off the next month. It's consistency.
Always.
That's the name of the game, right?
Yep.
It's if you can be the more consistent person and reach out more consistently. We even talked about this the other day, Derek, like a lot of the deals that we get are in follow-up.
Always, yeah.
It's not just you call that person on the first line, you go door knock and they're like, yeah, I'll sell my house to you right now today. It's no, how persistent are you? How consistent are you? Do you have a system in place for when you're going to follow up with that person next? I think that really has a lot to do with your success. And I'd love for you to kind of break down a little bit more about your marketing. I know initially when you got started, you were trying some mailers and you didn't really see the results that you were wanting. And you said, hey, let me take control of this.
Yeah, so we were doing mailers, and unfortunately a lot of these mail houses take too long to get the mailers out. We were getting calls on, we'd pull like obituary lists or things that were time sensitive, and seeing the mailers not go out for a couple months. And that when you're doing marketing to things that are time sensitive, you really want them out the door quick. So we made the decision to do a lot of research and bring that in-house. So now we actually do all of our own marketing in-house, which has been a huge advantage. I mean, we're able to get letters out the door the same day we get the lead. So it's been very beneficial for us.
And I know a lot of people, are trying different marketing strategies. What was the key determining factor that made you realize, okay, these mail houses aren't working, I need to bring this in-house? Was it the 6-week delay? Was it the pricing? Was it the quality of the letters? What was it that really kind of set you off?
The quality was there. The biggest thing for me was getting calls saying I was, a month late or 2 months late. I should have sent my mailer a month earlier, or 2 months earlier. That when I got those a few times, I said, something's got to change. Something has to change, because we're pulling data.
I spent the 10 grand on this marketing campaign, and I got the call. It was just the wrong call. It was the absolute worst thing I wanted to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was, you wanted to buy my house, you're a month late. That can crush you, right?
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of wasted money on marketing.
And when you're doing those marketing plays, you're really going for that one deal. You're saying, hey, I'm going to spend 10 grand because that one deal is going to make me 40, 50, 60, whatever that is. And so when that one deal slips through the crack, it can be,
it crushes
really heartbreaking, crushing, right?
Yeah.
So you decide, okay, I'm going to bring my marketing in-house. We're going to control our own marketing and control our own destiny. What did that look like?
That looked like doing a lot of research, trying to figure out the right printer to buy that does the marketing that we do, figuring out the company that manufactures those. It was a lot of work on the front end, because it's not something that's just out on, you don't search it on Google and have it pop up. So we did a lot of research, figured that out, was able to get in contact with the company that manufactures them, negotiate pricing, and now we own the printer and we do our own stuff.
And that, again, really kind of streamlines your process. Now there's no 1 month, 2 month delay. It's, hey, we have a list, we pulled it, we want to fire out a campaign. This thing's going to be going out tomorrow.
Yep. It's beautiful. We love it.
And when you think about being consistent, that's probably one of the easiest ways to do it is, hey, we have this list, we're marketing to it. We're not going to wait. We're going right after it. So I think that's, again, a really important thing to note is it's not like marketing does it on its own. There's push and pull marketing. And when you're doing the push marketing, you really do need to have that go out in a timely manner and a consistent manner, right?
Yep. And I think the biggest thing here was just taking action. Taking action was huge for me. Like, it's easy to sit back and go, oh, this Mel House knows what they're doing, and I just need to trust the process. I think you need to trust the process in certain things, but when you're not getting the results you expect, you need to take action and absolutely step in and figure out how to fix that. At the end of the day, as an investor, we're problem solvers, and you need to be able to solve those problems and figure out solutions and take action.
Love that. It's huge. Like that would be the quote of the day right there is, as investors, we are problem solvers. And the quicker you can solve that problem, the quicker you can get the next deal. So Derek, you're doing your own marketing now. What's next?
Just trying to buy as many properties as we can.
Are you looking for buy and holds? Are you looking for flips? Are you looking only in the Midwest?
No, we're actually closing on a property out here in Washington on Friday. We're hoping to close on another one in Utah here in the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully the 13 doors in Iowa will be closed in the next 30 days. So we're all over. The one out here and in Utah will both be flips. The one in Iowa will be buy and hold. The idea was just to kind of take the money from the high appreciating areas like Utah and Washington and put that to work in the Midwest.
There you go. So take that value that you're gaining from those homes and reinvest it into lower price homes that'll still provide some cash flow.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, Derek, I appreciate you kind of jumping on and joining us here on the webinar, man. I think we could probably do an entire hour-long chat with you sometime, and we'll probably have to. Again, I think the biggest things I took here is be consistent, take action, and find ways to keep networking. Would you agree?
Yep, absolutely.
If somebody in this room is looking to take action, what would you say you need help with right now? Is there anything you do need help with?
For me personally, it's getting to the point of building teams out, because right now it's really isolated to in-house me and my partners. Any systems or anything that can make that easier, any recommendations, VAs, whatever, that would help us a lot.
So guys, you heard it right here from Derek. Essentially what he's asking for is he's asking for an integrator. He's the visionary. He's the guy who's sitting here going like, hey, we're going to market better than anybody else. We're going to do this in-house. So he's got the ideas. What he needs to do to grow his business is get that integrator. And that's what Alex had in his position with his business as well, is he said, hey, I'm doing this already, but now I need to get that integrator in and take the business to the next level. So if you are that integrator and you're sitting here in this room and you're looking to get things jump started and learn from a incredible real estate investor like this guy, Derek, maybe shoot him a message. He's very active on the Facebook group. And if you're ever up in Washington, you want to grab lunch, I know he has an open invitation. So if you're ever in the area, feel free to reach out to him, all right? Derek, again, man, I appreciate you jumping on here, and we'll catch up with you soon, all right?
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you, brother. Guys, we're going to bring in another guest here in just a second. This is going to be another rookie investor who has been taking massive action, massive steps, and is seeing some massive results, and want to bring on one of Hawaii's own. This is Miss Stacy. And Stacy is going to be talking to us a little bit about what she has learned as an investor and what tips she would want to pass down to a rookie investor that's in her shoes a couple weeks back. Hey, Stacy.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Aloha. How are you? I know you're getting ready to fly out here, and we'll see you in Vegas in a little bit, right?
Let's go. I'm super excited about it. That's the best event ever. It's where I decided to do this on my own full time.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Stacey. I know your story is a great story for investors, right? Tell us a little bit about what you've kind of gone through. You started off working with another investor. You've accumulated an incredible amount of knowledge, an incredible amount of resources, and now you're at the point where you're like, hey, this is it. I'm ready to go.
Right. So a little bit about myself. I've always lived here in Oahu until I went to California for college. And I did mechanical engineering there. And I soon found out after juggling a lot of things that I didn't want to be staring at a computer all day. And at the time I was like doing a research paper, and then also working for a general contractor as an intern, working on a dorm tower on campus. And then at the same time, I was also building UCI's first solar race car team, which we designed like this car to go across America, completely powered by the sun. And so from that whole experience, I realized, number one, I don't want to be staring at a computer. And then number two, I definitely love the idea of like building something, like building a project and bringing people together to like build out all these systems, but have everyone else do it. And so from that whole thing, I ended up working for a general contractor after college, worked on some projects there. And right out of college, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and realized that like, yeah, if I want to be wealthy, I need to own real estate. And so at the time I was probably working about 80 hours a week for my W-2. And that kind of gave me the confidence to know how to manage my own construction project. So I knew that if I went to go get a flip, it wouldn't be that difficult for me to do the construction part, but I needed to go find a deal. And so I started networking, started going to a bunch of meetups, and this lady talked about manufactured homes. And literally like a light bulb went off in my head, and the very next weekend I was out driving for dollars, looking for deals. And so with that, I did my first flip. I did lose a lot of money. I lost like $30,000, but I knew going in that for me, I spent like $200,000 on this engineering education. I think I'll be okay if I lose like this 30K.
What's another 30, right?
Right, exactly. And so I did that flip, lost the money, and then at the end, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of discouraged, right? I was like, oh my gosh, like, should I really continue to do this? But knew that what I told myself going in, and then also knew that I learned a lot, and I'd be stupid not to take all of those lessons and apply that on my next flip. And so I did the second one, made some money, and that's actually where I met Alex. I met him on social media, and he came out to one of my flips in California when I was living out there. And it just so happened we moved back to Hawaii also at the same time. So that was cool. But after that whole experience, I moved back home. I was still working my W-2, and 1 month into working for them here in Hawaii, I was just like, this is crazy. Why am I so miserable? Like going to work shouldn't feel this heavy. And so I just quit. Like I just quit my job and was like, I got this savings. I think I'll be okay. But I ended up partnering with another investor. She's been doing real estate for about like 20 years. I partnered with her and did a lot of deals with her as far as in California, but then also did one wholesale deal here in Hawaii. And recently I went to the mastermind last quarter and just realized that like, hey, I could do this on my own. And so I got out of that partnership, and since March, I moved home, or since April, I moved home, and now I'm wholesaling and fix and flipping here in Hawaii.
And again, Stacey, I thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your story with us, because it's an incredible story, right? You lost $30,000 on your first flip. That for some people would be enough to say, I'm never doing it again. I'm going back to my 9 to 5. I'm going to double down and go back to work. But what I love about you, Stacey, is that you took those lessons and you said, hey, I already invested $200,000 into this, mechanical engineering degree. Why not do another 30? And why not say that all of those were just lessons towards what's going to ultimately be your best project, your second project, your third project, your next project down the line. And that's the biggest thing that I kind of took away from that, is learning from your past lessons, right? Not allowing those to define who you were, but allowing them to define who you can become.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, like, I am not a good employee, so there's really no other option.
When it comes down to it, Stacey's like, man, if there's something else to do, I'm gonna probably go do that. If I have a chance to make my money, I'm gonna go do that for me. And that's where you kind of made that decision. It was like, hey, the partnership doesn't work anymore. It's time for me to kind of, do this on my own. What did that look like for you? Like, going through your process, what was it that made you decide, hey, I have enough knowledge to do this? Or, hey, I still need to kind of wait a little bit before I do this? Like, was it the mastermind? Was it networking with people at the mastermind? Was it hearing success stories from other people doing it on their own at the mastermind? What was it that kind of gave you that leap of faith?
Definitely networking with a bunch of people that are where I want to be. I think a huge reason why I got into this partnership was that I wasn't confident enough in myself. I wasn't confident that like I could do this on my own, but I realized that, like, the people around me will have all the answers if I don't know how to do a certain thing. And like, even now, I mean, I've never, my first couple of deals on my own were all manufactured homes, so I never did like real single family homes, have to go through escrow kind of thing. And so even now I'm starting to just, there's a lot of unknowns, right? And that's okay. Like, you don't need to have everything figured out.
A lot of times people get discouraged, or they get that analysis paralysis, where it's like, wow, what is going to happen if I do take down this deal? There's going to be other people around you that'll help you walk the way. And Stacey, I think you're one of the biggest networkers out there, right? You're part of our mastermind with Ryan Pineda. You're part of a mastermind there on the islands, right? Every night, a couple days a week, actually, you guys meet up and mastermind and kind of share ideas and share tips. And that's a really big network for you out there. And a lot of those people are here in our room right now. The Zashas, the Tays, the Camel Highs, the Warrens, the Zalins, those are your team of people. So you're never really going it alone, right?
Yeah, never ever going at it alone. Sometimes it can feel like you're alone, but you have to put yourself out there. You can't just, like, these sellers are going to beat you up on the phone. And if you don't have someone to talk to about those times where you just feel so defeated, it's going to suck. So you might as well put yourself out there and surround yourself with the right people.
And we talk about this all the time. I email Stacey and I'm like, hey, Stacey, we're getting, ready to do some door hangers. What are you seeing success with on yours? And she's able to kind of provide feedback back. And I love it, because you're never really on your own, right? There's always going to be somebody in your corner, whether it's in your Hawaii group, whether it's in your Ryan Pineda mastermind, or even if it's just in your Alex, tribe right here that you have. There's always going to be somebody there that can kind of help you get there. But the only way it happens is if you put yourself out there. And one thing about Stacey, if you guys are not following her, this girl puts herself out there. She is on TikTok. She is on Instagram. And everything that she does in real estate, she puts out there. She lets you know, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. This is how I'm doing it. This is the reason behind it. And I think that's really important, because when you put yourself out there, other people are going to be able to attach to you and say, hey, I'm experiencing those same things too. I'm in the same boat as you. And that's why I ask you guys on the Facebook group to put in your wins, put in your losses, put in your wins. That way other people can feel that pain that you're going through and can help you get through it. But if they don't know that you're dealing with it, they'll never know. And that's one thing that I think you do a really good job of, Stacy, is, definitely making sure that every day you're actively putting out there what you're doing.
I've been bad lately, but I appreciate the compliment.
So what are you doing? What is on Stacy's goal now? I asked Derek, what are you doing in the next couple of months? What is Stacy doing in the next couple of months? And what do you need help with?
Okay, so now that I'm on my own, I'm pretty much playing all of the different hats, and that's been a little difficult for me to juggle. So since the mastermind, I moved back home like in April. So at first I hired like 5 or 6 cold callers at once from all different avenues just to figure out what I wanted to do, right? I had 3 different companies and then 3 of my own, and did that for a couple of weeks and realized, yeah, let's fire these companies. I just want my own. And so since then, I've been getting a good amount of leads. I mean, they're calling out 8 hours a day to these lists. And Oahu's so small, I'm not doing like these niche lists. I'm just blasting the whole island. And so I'm getting these leads. And now that they've been working for some time, I have leads that are really hot. And it takes a lot of time for me to chase these hot leads, because they'll ghost me. So I'll end up at their house. I'm door knocking. I mean, it could be I'm purchasing like an absentee property, but I'm still going to show up at their house and let them know. Like, I'm not letting them know directly that I looked up their address, but it's obvious what I did, right? Yeah, so I'm just now starting to hire on some acquisitions guys. Shout out to Jeremy Mateo for letting me use his realtors. But just like Derek, I'm trying to build more systems and do more of like the $10,000 tasks, as Beardy Brandon would say.
So a lot of people would call that an acquisitions manager, right?
Right.
So again, if anybody's in the room and they're sitting there saying, hey, you know what, I'm really good at following up with leads, I'm really good at tracking leads, I'm really good at getting in touch with people, that might be something that you want to get in touch with Stacy and say, hey, Stacy, I can probably help you connect some of those dots, and we can kind of grow a team together. And again, a lot of times you think that joining a team is taking a sacrifice from yourself and saying, hey, I can't do it. But I'll tell you from my personal experience, joining a team is the easiest way to avoid losing $30,000 on your own.
100%.
Stacy already did it. She can already tell you how she did it. She can already tell you how she's not going to do it again.
Right.
So why wouldn't you just say, this was our conversation last week, is why wouldn't you just learn those bumps and bruises from somebody who's already experienced them, right? So Stacy, if you had one piece of advice that you wanted to pass along to a newbie real estate investor that's struggling through some of the things that you were struggling with early on, what would that be?
Number one thing would be, you don't have to have it all figured out to get started. You figure it out by getting started. You're never going to have all the answers, but it's important to surround yourself with people who do. And then also remember that you just have to take action. Embrace the fear that you have and do it anyway. And as you come up with these specific situations that you end up in and you don't know what to do, at that point, then you go out to these investors and ask them like a specific question, because when you're coming to the table with a specific question, someone is more likely to help you than answer something like, how do you get started? Um, so, and just remember that like you have to put in the reps, right? Like you can't just go from being average to being great. And Bigger Pockets talks about it as well. Like you have to master average before you can master good, and you have to master good before you can master great. And it's all about putting in the reps, calling these sellers. And if you mess up on the call, that's okay, because next time when you call the seller again or a different seller, you're gonna know what to say. I've lost so many deals since I've gotten started on my own, and I'm sure I've burnt a lot of money, but I can see as I get closer and closer to these deals how I'm starting to get more confident and learning to how to answer all of their 10 million objections that they have.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Stacy. I was speaking with another new investor the other day, and they booked their first appointment. And he said, Will, what do I do? And I said, go on the appointment. You know, I was like, what's the worst thing that happens? You go on the appointment and you don't get it. But I was like, I guarantee you tomorrow after that appointment, you are going to have some real specific questions that you need answers to that I can help you with. If you just ask me, what do I do on the appointment? There's not much I can help you with.
Yeah.
But if you go and if you take that action and you take that rep, worst thing that happens is the next appointment you go on, you're going to know 10 things that you didn't know on the first one. And it happened to me too. I walked in and I walked out of the house and I called Alex and I was like, hey, Alex, I did my first appointment. And he was like, cool. So what does the water heater look like? And I was like, the water heater. I was like, yeah, about that. Actually, I don't know if the house has a water heater. And he was like, well, every house has a water heater. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm not as good as I thought. But that was that action step. That was, okay, now I know, hey, these are the things I need to do. And now when I go on an appointment, you better believe I have a picture of the water heater. You know, but I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have had that first, semi-embarrassing moment where, your boss asks you, hey, where's the water heater picture? And you go, oh, man, I don't even know if they had one. So I think I love that you pointed that out, Stacy.
Yeah, definitely.
So guys, you kind of heard it from two investors, both Derek and Stacy. These are both people that within the past 2 years have been able to take down properties, get in touch with sellers, make appointments, grow teams. All you have to do is be consistent, take the reps, and continue to networking. And those are kind of the biggest three things that I was able to gather from both Stacy and Derek. And again, thank you so much for jumping on here and joining us. I know you're getting ready to do some travel, so we'll let you get running along, and can't wait to see you out here, Stacy.
Yeah, out here tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. Safe travels, all right?
All right.
So guys, Stacy, you heard it there. If you have anything that you can do to add to Stacy's business, she's at the point now where she's starting to see some leads, starting to see some results, and, just needs a little bit of help tracking leads. So if you're currently tracking leads and, doing a good job of that, might want to reach out and see if you can kind of align yourself with Stacy and see what you can do there. What I'm going to do now is we're going to bring on one final guest. This is a dude who is, again, a complete action taker. No excuses here, has a family, has a newborn kid, has a beautiful dog, has possums that hang out in his fireplace. The dude is again, as I mentioned, an action taker. And we're really excited to welcome Tyler onto the screen today. How's it going, man?
What's going on, Will? Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, I know you got a lot of stuff going on out there, new family, new properties in the pipeline, and a lot of stuff in the works. So we do appreciate you taking some time and sharing with some of the newbie investors on the call.
Absolutely. Yeah, life's never too busy to chase your dreams, man.
And I know we were talking about this on the phone earlier this week. Chasing your dreams is one of the most important things you can do. But throwing that rope back down so the next guy can chase his dream is pretty important. And both of us certainly wouldn't be in the positions that we're at right now if we didn't have somebody throwing that rope down for us. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that's critical. When you surround yourself with people that are doing things 2 to 5 to 10 steps ahead of you, you get to learn from them, and then, you know, you put in your time with them, and then they're willing to share what they know with you, and always be ready to, you know, reach for that rope. But at the same time, the exact reason that I'm thrilled to be on here is, you know, give yourself credit. We're all learning, and we've all got something to throw down to the people that don't know what we know. So always being willing to throw down that rope yourself instead of always just looking to pull up from someone else that's ahead of you. I think that's pretty critical.
And we've mentioned it before, you know, Alex is always willing to reach out to people in his network when we need to.
Yep.
But it's hey, you really want to make sure that you've taken enough initiative on your own so that that person knows, like, hey, Will's just calling me because he's too lazy to figure this out on his own.
Right.
It's like, no, I've actually taken a couple stabs at it, and I need some mentoring, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you. So, Tyler, we met in a mentorship as well, back with Steve Rosenberg. And I know that that was one that really kind of got you going in the right direction.
Big time, big time. Yeah, that's sorry, someone's walking up to my door right now. My dog's probably gonna lose it, but I'll follow in Derek's footsteps.
We've had all the dogs have lost it so far on the webinar, so no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no joke. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, she's out of here. Anyways,
always
the
FedEx delivery guy, right?
Oh, the worst time, always. No,
so
Steve
talking about
Rosenberg's,
masterminds, you know, we're in the Steve Rosenberg mastermind, the think tank mastermind. What was it about the mastermind that kind of got your wheels turning?
So it was, you know, I really focused on the mindset piece before the tactical parts, because I felt like that was a natural place for me to start, and getting my mind right ultimately led to me getting confidence, because everyone's got these self-limiting beliefs and these comparative analysis where they're like, oh, these guys that are crushing it online on Instagram, I can never be that person because XYZ. I think I really hit that head on, and Steve stepped in a big way to kind of put the kibosh on that and be like, hey, everyone feels that way. No matter what level you're at, no matter how successful you seem, if you're chasing something bigger, you're doing something uncomfortable. You just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So the mindset was critical because it led to the confidence.
And mindset is that big word, right? It's the big M word. And it's like, you know, you touched on it a little bit there. It was like, hey, I thought that I needed to have all this info and all this information. And that's the smart person in you talking, right? That's the, hey, I'm a smart human being and I want to have as much data and as much info as I can before I dive in.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you still have to jump in the pool. You
Always.
can know that this is the backstroke and the breaststroke. You can know all the strokes, but until you actually get in, it's really kind of tough. And Stacy alluded to this earlier, which was, you know, she said, hey, you just have to jump in and take action. And I know that was kind of the big shifting moment for you is, you know, you had a conversation with Steve where it was like, bro, why aren't you taking the action? Like, what's holding you back, right?
Yeah, this great analogy that Steve used that really kind of made me open my eyes, that I shared with you, Will, is he uses analogies for driving and like road trips and all that all the time. And he's like, you've got what you need, but you're waiting to leave the house until all of the lights are green. And he's like, that's never going to happen. You're never going to leave the house, get to your destination, every light's going to be green. And if you wait until they're all green, you're still going to hit the reds and the yellows. So that opened my eyes where I was like, well, shit, you're right. I have everything I need to get started.
Right. I am still stuck at the house.
Yeah, so that was a good one where, you know, no matter how prepared you think you need to be, there's always more prepared that you could be. But if you're going to keep that as your defining line in the sand where it's like, no, I have to be this prepared before I jump in, you know, just jump in.
And, you know, we all fall victim to it, right? I fall victim to it. I did it this week. I was recording a training for our team on PropStream. And I allowed myself to talk myself into, no, I need to do a couple more YouTube trainings from other people before I do it. And then I did it and I was like, this is the same thing I was going to do before I did all of that. I just allowed myself to think I needed more preparation and needed more info, when really it was just, hey, dive in, do it, put some numbers in, see what comes up and work through it. And you're going to get the same results had you done it The other way, you just would have never left the house.
Absolutely. And by no means are we obviously saying that you should get into things that you're unprepared for. Obviously, you've got to put in your footwork and realize that you can't go in completely blind. You do have to put in your legwork and make an effort instead of just immediately asking for help without trying yourself or learning the things yourself. So obviously, yeah, fill your cup with some knowledge first, but don't feel like you've got to be the absolute expert or the authority on every single thing, because you find other people that can help you out. You find who's to step in to fulfill your goals. It's something where you'll never know it all. And if that's what you're waiting for, stop waiting.
Stop waiting. I love it. So you had this mindset shift. You decided, okay, I'm no longer going to be sitting at my house. I'm ready for the road trip.
Mhm.
I'm going to hit some red lights. I'm going to hit some yellows. I'm going to hit some greens. What were a couple of those red and yellows that you hit along the way to get in that first green?
I mean, denied, rejected offers, making offers on places where, you know, we're putting our heart and soul into this and realizing, hey, we really want to pursue this. I mean, we put out a lot of offers before we just purchased 2 multifamily properties simultaneously, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. But before that, we're putting in offers left and right and just going way over asking price. And I'm in Denver, so it's super competitive market. But yeah, I mean, it takes the steam out of you when you start getting these rejections time after time. But at the same time, I feel like you've got to understand you can't take it personally. It's all part of the game. Every investor is playing that game. Every investor is getting offers denied. No investor is getting every offer accepted. So if you're holding yourself to that standard, you know, that's absurd. You're never going to hit it. You're always going to be disappointed. So realizing that, hey, those reds and yellows, when you hit them, it's a learning experience. How do you come back a little more prepared, or how do you come back and change your tactics so that you don't hit it? How do you speed up when it turns yellow so you still make the light?
How can I still make that light, right? Okay, so I need to get the offer in a little quicker. I need to get the offer in a little bit more compact. I need to have a little bit more information on it. Maybe I need to have my funding attached. All of those things can kind of attach to it. But if you don't get out and you don't get driving, you're never going to leave the house.
And you're certainly never going to get an offer accepted if you're not making them. Just like
so
you
you
said,
recently posted about a couple of your offers that you got rejected. And a lot of times for people that can be traumatizing, because like you said, you had your vision, you had your idea for the property, you had invested time in it, you had visited it yourself personally. How do you overcome those rejections and stay positive to know, hey, I'm going to keep making another offer, and another offer?
I think a couple of things. I think that mindset thing that we were talking about, I think when we say mindset, it's not just like, hey, be happy, be positive. I think you really have to commit to changing who you are. And that's the mindset piece. You change how you think, and then that changes how you react to positive things, to negative things, and that changes how you feel. And until you actually commit to making those changes within yourself, if you're a pessimistic person and you don't want to be optimistic, you're just going to approach everything pessimistically, no matter what. But when you commit to making those changes within yourself, which is what I did, and instituting all the things from the podcasts, all the things from the books, and actually like make those changes in yourself, you know, it's easy to get down when things don't go your way. But when you have a mindset shift, you understand it can't always go your way. It's just roll with the punches and get on. So I think the mindset was exactly what prepared me to deal with hey, it doesn't always go my way.
Yeah, and it never is going to go your way. If it did,
No.
it wouldn't be life, right?
No.
So you get an offer accepted. In fact, like you said, a couple of them accepted simultaneously. So you go from like, hey, I'm in Dallas, I'm doing this, and now it's like, okay, wow, we have 2 deals that are accepted simultaneously. What starts kind of running through your head there? Does the doubt start to creep back in, or
honestly,
are
it
you
was
able to kind of squash it and be like, dude, we got this. We know what we're doing.
Both simultaneously. It was funny because we got one of those properties under contract. We made offers on 2. First one was declined. Then the second one, we're like, cool, let's move on to the next one. No big deal. Move on to the next one. We get that one accepted, get under all of our processes, start doing the whole thing, and they've got our earnest money. And then we get a call from that last deal, and they're like, hey, do you want it? Our other buyer fell through, and we're like, yeah, right. So then I was like, wait, but what if we could? What if we could? So like in the same moment, I had this 1-2 where the doubt was definitely there, but then I was like, no. This opportunity
was a
doesn't
deal
come
before. Why would I let the deal slip through? If the deal's coming back to me, I have to take advantage.
Absolutely. So immediately I defaulted to, hey, I've got all this theory. I read all these books. I finished all the mindset stuff, and I was like, but did that necessarily prepare me to take down 2 deals? No,
Two
it
deals at
prepared me to
once. Yeah.
it prepared me to be ready to figure it out. So immediately I made some calls to some people that are more involved with this, and they immediately set me into this position where I was like, no, it's totally doable. There's no reason that you can't. There's no reason that you shouldn't. So reaching into that network, I think networking is absolutely pivotal. So reaching into that network and just finding people that are familiar with the game, and that'll give you an additional boost of confidence. Where even if you don't know how to do it, you can figure it out. And Stacy mentioned it. Everything is figure outable. There's no problem that can't be solved.
And that's the abundance mindset, right? You talked about this earlier, like every deal is going to go to somebody. And it doesn't mean that every deal is going to go to that one powerhouse investment team. One of those deals is going to fall through the cracks and end up on Tyler's, doorstep. You're going to get one of them if you take action.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you continue to be consistent, talking about what Derek was doing, if you continue to be consistent, there's no reason that you won't get a deal. There's just no two ways about it. The law of averages. If you get your reps in, you'll get one. It's just a matter of being patient and positive through the negative situations of having them not work.
Flash us back about a year ago, 2 years ago. Would 2 years ago Tyler think that he could take down 2 deals at once?
No, two
way,
deals.
right?
2 deals might not sound crazy, but it's 7 doors.
7
buy and
doors,
hold
2
rental.
deals,
So I mean,
2 multifamilies at once.
Yeah, so absolutely not. Especially in Denver, where everybody, the common theme is, hey, you're in an expensive market, find a different one. I was like, I don't want to do that.
No.
And no, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, Tyler, I dream about this. My goal was to add 4 doors to my portfolio this year, and we added 7 in the first quarter.
7. Let's go. So I think, again, mindset is the biggest, takeaway there is you would not have been able to do this if there wasn't that shift in your mind from I can evaluate this to I can do this.
Absolutely. And to add to that, I think momentum is definitely worth noting as well. When you're not moving, you're not doing anything, you're not making the effort or taking the action. Once you start to get those wins, the momentum builds like a freight train. That snowball effect is absolutely accurate. And I'm sure everyone here that has felt some sort of positive growth, it gets exponentially bigger the more you do it. Like I'm not sitting on my laurels with these 7 deals or 7 doors saying, oh, well, I finished my goal for the year. I'm going to take a break. Now I'm looking at 7 more deals down, or 7 more doors down in Pueblo, Colorado, and looking at flips simultaneously. And like this growth is just exponential once you get going.
Once you get going, the momentum's there. Now you're like, well, now I already have a contractor over here. Why couldn't I just bring him over to there? Okay, well, then why couldn't I bring him over to the next one? And then why couldn't I use the same services that I was? It just, the momentum starts to build. And I'll echo on that, Tyler. I mean, I've been working with Alex now for about 8 months, and we went about 4 months without acquiring a deal.
Yep.
And it was, the momentum was starting to go the opposite way. And then you start to see those couple of things, like Stacy said, it was like, hey, we got closer and closer on a couple of deals. I started to get to that process where I was like, hey, if I were to maybe said this instead of that, this would have come together. And you start to learn those things from the repetition, from taking those reps. So again, I think it's incredible for someone like you to say, hey, I've hit my goal, but I'm not stopping. I'm actually plowing right through it. And I'm using this momentum to say, now I'm not only looking at doors, but now I'm going to say, hey, now that I've figured that out, why don't I look at a flip to fund my next door?
Absolutely. It's critical to experience a little bit of that momentum. And even when you feel like you're in a slump or a down, that just means there's something bigger coming, and stick to your guns, stick to what you're capable of. And that's another thing, is realizing your capabilities. Once you actually have that success, allows you to push the bar even higher than what you initially did. Like, it's easy to put the bar really low for ourselves. Like I said, 4 doors in a year, I thought was, that'd be a good year. And then you realize very quickly that, hey, I was cutting myself short. I really can push harder. Yeah.
And you're like, well, what am I going to do? One
harder.
Quadplex in December and then sit on my ass for 11 months and hang out? Like, no, I got to get back on the wheelhouse and get the next one and the next one going, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's fun once you generate a little bit of momentum.
So
And being outward about what you do, sorry to cut you off, but being outward about what you do also helps with that momentum. And when someone sees that you did a deal, once you get one and you share that, or once once you fail a deal and you share that, I think sharing your losses are just as important as sharing your wins, because then people understand what you're doing, what you're trying to do. And I was always pretty private about it, but I'm trying to change that and be a lot more outward about the wins, the losses, and just doing that, the people come out of the woodwork that are willing to help you out, that are willing to bring deals to you. People that aren't even investors that are saying, "Hey, here's a place, there's a place. Do you want to partner on this, on that?" It's cool when you can actually get that confidence boost to share your story.
and again, I think for you, posting some of those posts is the big unlocker for that, right? It's like you said, you'd been kind of private before. Nobody wants to talk about the deal they lost.
No.
That's a tough thing, but when you put it out there, it lets people know, like, hey, Tyler's putting in offers. So whether he's losing them or not, he's taking action. And I want to align myself with people that are taking action. And rather than think about having maybe lost a property, no, you actually did lose it.
Absolutely.
So I'd rather align myself that did it rather than thought about it.
Yep. And another tip on that, posting, there's a lot of people that treat social media like their highlight reel, and all they do is post their wins. And it's easy to feel inferior when all you see is someone portraying that they're just constantly crushing it. No, they're probably getting their teeth kicked in every once in a while. They just don't want to share that with you. So realizing that there is this social media allure where everyone wants to be a baller, everyone wants to show off what they're doing well, but pretty slow to show off what they're not doing well. So realize that no one's perfect, no one's crushing it as hard as they seem to make it. They're probably losing as well. So don't compare yourself to others on social media with regard to investing.
And I'll echo that, man. Like, it always looks like the highlight reel, right?
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you, on our Southgate flip, it's been anything but highlight reel. We've dealt with everything possible, and I've tried to share that with you guys. And I'll make another video. Like, I never knew what the repairs were. I'd always done repairs on our buying side and said, hey, we're going to come back a little bit in after our inspector. But man, we got our repairs back from our buyer on our Southgate, and they wanted $10,000 off for repairs on the property. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, $10,000, like, this thing is done perfectly. Like, what do you mean?
Yep.
But those are those little learning moments where it's like, okay, cool. There's always something I can learn. There's always something I can take from somebody else. And I think those are really the kind of important pieces that allow you to keep growing and building that business, right?
And that's awesome when you guys share your things that aren't going well and talking about the challenges, the struggles, and everyone else watching gets to learn from that instead of just say, man, I wish I was doing what Will was doing. Man, I wish we were doing the volume. I wish we were crushing it. Realizing they're real people. They're a real team that have their own real struggles. It's great when you can share that. Yep.
So Tyler, goal for the year, 4 doors. Blew past it. You're at 7. Have you realigned your goal? Or where can people in this group help you? If somebody's in this group, a newbie investor sitting here in this group, where is there some alignment that Tyler needs some help with?
Yeah, so with realigning my goals, I certainly, have scaled up. I haven't put an exact number on it. Like you said, we just had a newborn baby. So my goal is always
30 doors.
Maybe, who knows? My goal is always more, bigger, best, that sort of mentality. So now that I know I can do 7 at a time, I'm not putting it past myself to double or triple that this year. In terms of buy and holds. Buy and holds is where I want to spend all my efforts. But like you said, flips fund buy and holds. So not walking away from those. I'm a general contractor by trade. I have my own business. So flips are very appealing to me in the Colorado area. I actually saw one of the guys in the chat also in Denver. So I'd love to link up one day. But yeah, I think being a visionary and being an entrepreneur, there's always room for an integrator, someone that is able to make that vision come through. So, I mean, I've got these visions for both my general contracting business as well as my real estate investing business. So, people that want to talk about how they're growing and scaling their businesses, whether it's real estate or otherwise, I think that's a network that I want to develop more. Business builders, scalers, that sort of thing.
And guys, you heard it right here. I mean, this is, again, a really smart dude, somebody that has multiple businesses. He's running a contracting business, a flipping business, a buy and hold business. These are the kind of people that you want to align with. You know, these are the type of people that if you're able to solve problems for, you can exponentially grow their business and your business at the same time. So I know Tyler, Stacy, and Derek, we are all very, very thankful for your guys' time. The last question I want to ask you, Tyler, is what's your why? Like, why are you doing all this?
Family, man. Time is something that you don't get enough of. You never know how much you get, and I want the freedom to be able to enjoy my family. We just had a baby, and that has been, we actually decided to have a baby so that we could reprioritize our time and realize there's more important things than work. You know, I don't want to bury myself in 60 hours a week. I don't want to do this a whole ton. I want to enjoy the fruits of doing this. So it's all about getting my freedom back, my time back, and enjoying watching my boy grow up.
Time freedom is probably one of the biggest things. Family is probably one of the biggest things. What we're going to do now is what we do kind of at the end of every week, and just kind of close it out by inviting everybody else back onto the screen here. And what I'd love to do is hear from somebody else. If anybody else who is in the chat today would like to share their why. Why are you guys coming to the webinar? Every week I see some of you guys in here. We have some regular convicts that are coming here every week checking in. What are your whys? Why is it that you guys are doing this? And feel free to turn on your mic and go ahead and share. I'm going to be clicking a couple buttons here on the mouse while I get everybody in. So anybody who wants to, feel free to go ahead and chime in. Let us know your why, and I'll get things started. My why is the same as Tyler's. I don't have a kid yet, but I've been dating for 7 years, and we're getting to that point where it's hey, we're starting to get to that planning phase. And the main reason I do this is the why. It's so that I can have time with my family, so that I can have time with my girlfriend to enjoy that. So that number one is above and beyond my overwhelming why is time freedom, and freedom to hang out with your friends, your family, and do what you want. Camel High, what about you, man? What's your why? I know you got a big one.
Yeah, same. The time freedom for sure is probably the number one thing for us. But even more so, I think when I was growing up, I was kind of forced into what society told me I had to do, right? And that was get a job, work really hard for somebody else to provide for my family. And so I think I wasn't able to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do or things that I was passionate about. So thinking forward, I have 2 little children, being able to put them in a position to where they can really do what they love in their life, rather than being forced into something that society tells them they have to do. They can explore their passions. They can be whatever they want to be, right? And I can give them that opportunity. That's one of my biggest whys.
Bro, huge. Love that one. Like that rings home. Rory, what about you, man? What's your why?
Nothing original here. I'm just echoing what everyone else is saying. You know, when you go through life, you realize the only commodity any of us have is time. And so the more that we can focus that time doing things that we want to do and spend it with the people that we love, I believe the better off we'll be. And we have the luxury of opportunity to be able to do it. So why not do it? I would also echo what Kamahai just said, and it's to be able to, leave generational wealth for the ones who come after you, because all the ones who came before you try to do the same for you. So I think it's just making the most of the opportunity we got to be alive.
I love that. And not even just generational wealth, but generational options, right? Like, I love what you were saying there, Kamahai. Like, it's not that they have the wealth, but it's like, you have the option to not go do a 9-to-5 because everybody's not telling you to do that. They're telling you can do what you want to do. So I think that's huge. What about you, Victor? What's your why?
I was just typing in this in the chat. So I'm working about 9 years in the same corporation. So for me, it's a career change, it's future development and options for me and my family. And I just became a realtor like in May 20th. So I am going through an onboarding process with an agency, and I am doing this for the family, for the future development, for career change, and for the legacy for my children. Absolutely.
Huge. What about you, Ben?
I became an entrepreneur about 6 years ago or so, and the first 3 or 4 years I lost my ass. I mean, financially, I had a business partner that left, so I was running a bar and grill, and I was stuck there. So I was basically paying to work. I was paying to be free, and I missed out on so much of my daughter's life, and I said never again. And so that's what got me into the real estate world, and I've hung out with a lot of different groups, a circle of people. Circle of groups, and the real estate investors are by far the biggest go-getters. I mean, they're action takers. I love it. I've never met every single group that, especially this group. I mean, they're just taking action and constantly trying to make themselves better. So I love it. Just hanging out with that circle of influence.
Go-getters and go-givers, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Problem solvers.
What about you, Tay?
Oh, sorry. Hi. So my whys, there's a couple levels or layers, I would say. Aside from time freedom and spending time with my daughter and my husband, there's definitely also kind of instilling that thing in my daughter, and I'm definitely truly hoping that she sees the freedom that mom and dad get to have, and that she wants that for herself. So there's also that as well, influencing her and her mindset and all of that. And then I've got my dance school, and I kind of really want my time freed up for that. My dance school isn't like a lucrative thing. I give a lot of my time, and because I'm just so passionate about dancing and what it has brought into my personal life. Growing up, I'm hoping to be able to give that to, a few students. So that's really why I'm pushing really hard on real estate investing and becoming financially free, but focusing on time freedom mainly.
And if you guys haven't seen, I mean, you should see the smile on Tay's face when she's there dancing with some of the girls in her program. I mean, you can tell just how invested in it she is. And it's not for the money, it's because of how it makes her feel, and because of probably how it makes those girls feel, knowing that, hey, somebody is here, that truly believes in us and wants to see us have an amazing time. So again, I think everybody is kind of echoing the same thing. Here, let's end it off with one more. Ed, do you want to share what's your why, man?
So this kind of goes back to that question that we answered a few weeks ago or a week ago about if you had $1 trillion. It's the cliche. Well, for me, my first why is my parents. It's like so they can do what they want. Like I'm young, like I'm 27, I'm turning 28. I have time to see the world. I have time to travel. They're older. They don't. That's kind of my thing. Like they don't have to work. They don't have to worry about it. They can do whatever they want. Go to Vegas, go to Hawaii, go to wherever you want. That's my first. And it's kind of the idea, like Tay mentioned about the dancing. Like you find a passion, and you can give back and inspire someone to do something that you may have not had the opportunity as early on to do yourself, or someone else gave you that opportunity. Like I love sports. I grew up playing sports. I can't imagine life without it. But I was impacted by people that when I was growing up because I met them through sports, coach, other players' parents, XYZ, and it's just making an impact. Because I think the most powerful thing you can do for someone is be the reason why they did something. And if you let that sink in for a little, like I got chills saying it.
I got chills hearing you say it.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's kind of my big thing is like we can accomplish all things in the world, but I think once you touch someone else to let them inspire theirs, that's the most powerful thing in the world.
And guys, I think everybody hit on that in some way or shape or form, right? Camel High wants to have his kids be able to make their decisions on their own. Tay wants to be able to see the students in her dance class, grow to become incredible human beings. And, Ben wants to be able to see his daughter and enjoy time with his family more. And I think all of that really kind of comes back and hits on you know, we're all in this together, right? We're all in this to see a better light of day. And I think that's why this real estate group that you mentioned, Ben, like these real estate people, they're all go-getters. And the coolest thing I think about this tribe is that everybody in here is a go-getter, but I think everybody on this call is a go-giver as well. And that's one of the coolest things about being a part of this tribe with you guys, is that everybody in here is taking, everybody's absorbing, but everybody's also willing to put stuff back in. And that's why I think we're continuing to see a lot of results coming out of the tribe. People like Rory getting houses under contract, people like Tyler getting deals and doors under contract. You know, everybody's getting closer and closer on the way. So keep in touch, guys. We're going to do something really fun over the next couple of weeks here in Los Angeles while we have Mr. Camacho in town. Thank you guys. We had 25, 30 people on the webinar this whole week. And Alex wasn't even here. So this was really you guys, you know, running this webinar without Alex. And that's just, again, a testament to the tribe that we're building out here and why everybody wants to keep tuning in, because it's not just Alex talking, but it's you guys talking. It's you guys sharing what's working and being able to help other people figure out what works for them too. So appreciate every one of you guys for coming back in here. I see Ben's daughter getting in there. Love seeing the family. And guys, we'll catch you guys all next week on the flip side. All right. I appreciate you guys. And if you guys get a chance, share a win in the Facebook group. If I get 5 people to share their wins, I will post a copy of my notes, word for word, my notes from this $15,000 mastermind that we're going to with Ryan Pineda. You'll get a copy of my notes on the Facebook group. So let's go share those wins and we'll catch you next week. All right.
Turn on your voice recording.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Appreciate you guys.
Everyone. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you,
And yeah,
guys.
thank you, Stacy and Tyler. You guys are
Hello.
incredible.
Everyone.
Good luck, Will.
Thank you guys.
Excited for you, Will.